Now, let's look at the nation at large. With the midterms coming up, things are going really, really badly for Democrats, City of London, Deep State, heading into this year's midterms. Today, we got more economic data, and I gotta say the vast majority of this data is very strong for Team Trump, for President Trump, for MAGA, for where we're headed. Now, the low numbers, which other people will talk about, I'll just touch on right here. It's all about sentiment. Sentiment is down, but that's just because the people are, feeling beat up. And that makes sense. But the actual numbers are looking very good. Look at this. Retailer profits jumped in quarter one, up 4.2 billion from Q4. Guys, Q4 is Christmas. How are retail profits up 4 billion Q1 from Q4? That's crazy. And then if you go year over year, up 18 billion. That is not the sign of a struggling economy, friends. That's the sign of people getting money back in their pocket and starting to spend again. Doesn't matter. Remember, emotions lie. People's emotions lie to them. In general, the economy is getting better, especially for red states. After adjusting down for inflation, these are significantly large gains. And you can see the charts here are just heading up. Now, along with that, we got great news on the trade deficit. Okay. So the trade deficit down against China again, keeps heading down. This is the tariffs working. This is the manufacturing reshoring we're starting to see. See, everything they say that Trump's doing that's wrong or doesn't work is working. And the reason they criticize him for it is because they're all globalist, Keynesian economists who they want the old system to stay in place. They hate that he's breaking, he's crushing the deep state cabal system, financial system that's been holding us all down. He's given power back to the people. It takes time. It's building up, but this is more and more proof of it. This is less dependence on imports. That's a huge deal. Expected 56 billion before the month before 56.6 billion. The trade deficit overall is down like 50 to 60% since Trump got in office. That's massive. That's absolutely massive. And here's a little breakdown on it.
The United States of America has reduced its trade deficit in goods with China by over 30%, 3-0. So that was, in absolute terms, that was $130 billion last year. That's a huge change in only 1 year. We initiated with China what I call the U.S.-China Board of Trade.
Right.
And it's, I'd call it a positive mechanism where instead of fighting with China all the time, we each look at about $30 billion worth of goods trade on each side, and we say, listen, is there something we can trade with each other, non-sensitive consumer goods, or can we send them medical devices, energy products, agricultural products? What can we get from them? What can we send to them in a balanced way in non-sensitive goods, and really manage the trade? Because our two economies are so different, our politics are so different. We have to manage the trade. We have to get that deficit lower. We have to get the trade more balanced, and we're already well along the path to doing that. The United States.
That's all because of tariffs. One of the most genius things ever. I mean, in our modern economics, what Trump and Bessent are doing, the reason, again, it's so different. And I recommend the people who break this down so brilliantly is over at Promethean Action. I totally recommend listening to them, or Tom Luongo. These people who follow the economy at a much deeper level than I do, but they understand the whole difference of what Trump's getting us back to. Remember, when Trump first came in, tariffs, my favorite word are tariffs. Going back to the 1800s, they had so much money, they didn't know what to do with it. He's absolutely right. And that's before the Fed came in, the income tax came in. We ran our economy on tariffs and sales tax, basically. They call it something different, but it's basically a sales tax. And the economy in the 1800s, when that's what our federal government ran on, so no income tax collected, during that entire period, we increased exponentially. We became the world power, the most powerful economy in world history, and deflation was regular. I did a deep dive report on this last summer when the tariffs first happened, and my few viewers who were still around back then might remember this. But I showed them how year after year, the average in America was not inflation. Year over year, the average year in America was 0.5% deflation. Deflation is actually the sign of a growing economy. Why? Because innovation spurs new ways of creation, and that creation and innovation means better tech for cheaper, better ways of producing food for cheaper, better ways of getting energy out for cheaper. The more you innovate and create, the more things should get cheaper, not more expensive. What's changed is this Keynesian economics that we instituted in 1913 with the Fed and with personal income tax giving the government control over all of our incomes. By instituting that and allowing the federal government to now run on all this excess debt as well, you create a system where inflation meant growth, and a lot of our growth has been fake since then. Now, don't get me wrong, the American system is so powerful. Our overall lives in many ways have gotten better. Like a poor person today is living a lot better than a poor person back then. Do not get me wrong on that. There's a lot of improvements. However, in general terms, we have lost a ton of wealth, and we've lost our ability to accrue assets and build for the future. That's the difference. So while our day-to-day life in most cases might be better than it was back then, they've stolen from us our future and our potential to build and accrue wealth. That's been stolen from us, especially in the middle class. Forget it if you're poor. It's not completely stolen. There's still ways up. Do not get me wrong. There's still ways to improve. That's how powerful our system is. But they've been trying to eliminate that. Thank God for Trump, because he stopped them right before they could have completely gotten rid of our ability to do so. And now he's opening up the ceiling again so that we're able to get back into it. And this is why Trump talks a lot about assets. This is why he started the Trump accounts, all that kind of thing, to get Americans investing in the future again without as many roadblocks ahead of us. And by reshoring here, by creating the tariffs, by lowering taxes, lowering regulations, he's making it possible for us to get there. And we're seeing the initial results. Now, with all this happening, the economy is starting to show signs of turnaround. Well, we're also getting big news in the markets. Now, markets overall are down today, but that's not that big a deal. It's due a correction. It's very overbought. What's most important is that right now, oil has been going down. And now, earlier today, I haven't checked it this second. In fact, maybe I should. Let me look at oil this second. Oil right now, yes, it's down to $86. $86. That's where oil is right now, under $90. Guys, this is not supposed to happen when we're at war at Iran. We were supposed to be at $200 a barrel. We're supposed to be $150 a barrel. Alex Jones said, oh, you go to war with Iran, oil's going to go to 110, 130. We're totally screwed. No, I'm sorry. It's not happening. Why is it not happening? But the Strait of Hormuz is still blocked up. Trump's crushing the world economy. He's killing us all. Really? Well, there's a problem with that. See, as of right now, guess what happened? People innovate. Countries are innovating. The global oil system has offset almost 90% of Hormuz's barrels. Whoa! Everybody who predicted otherwise look like retards. This is what happens, folks. Never bet against a human's ability to innovate. It always happens. And this is the abundance mindset that Trump lives by and is trying to teach Americans again, because we've been stuck in a scarcity mindset for so long. And I understand why. A lot of us been beat down. It's been tough. The economy has not been in our favor. Things are hard. I get it. And then we had nonstop dooming from media, from Democratic presidents who were 12 of the last 17 years, just teaching us that, oh, managed decline is expected now. Barack Obama, 2% growth is the new normal. We're never going to get higher than that again. Yeah, they lied to you. They told you to expect mediocrity. Trump is blowing that all up, and he's also proving that all the dooming just doesn't happen because people innovate. Look at this. 17.5 million barrels per day has been offset with bypass pipelines, reduced Chinese imports, increased U.S. export, SPR releases, and demand destruction. Now, the SPR releases, which is the emergency, oil, that can't last. Okay, so don't get me wrong. Like, there's still some warning signs. It's not going to be perfect. But the problem is that this wasn't even supposed to get to that point. Look at this. The bypass pipelines will last. That's 7 to 8 million barrels a day. The Chinese imports, their economy's on the decline. And they're investing more in energy, in electric vehicles. That's probably going to stay this way. U.S. exports, that's not going to change. Here's the reserve releases. That will eventually wear out. But that's only 1 to 2 million barrels a day. That's not going away fast. So, and these other things will just keep increasing. Now, Tom Luongo breaks it down really well. Says some of this is not long-term sustainable. That's a typo. But the general trend is more the established global system of oil flow has been rewired. This is one of the greatest accomplishments of going after Iran. He removed City of London's control over the strait. And regardless of what you hear about Iran's the proxy. They were working as a proxy for City of London through the strait, because guess who was making all that money through the strait? Oh yeah, Lloyd's of London, shipping, making trillions of dollars. And because they controlled the shipping through there, because listen, if you're the insurer, you control it, right? There's a lot of that works in a lot of ways. If you're the one insuring, they're the only ones they can get insurance through, you basically can control it. So they controlled that, and then through OPEC and using Iran as a proxy, they could also control oil, because you could control shocks to the oil system whenever you wanted to. OPEC would put caps on how much oil they're producing. How many times did Bush, Obama, Biden go to OPEC and beg them to produce more? Oil prices are getting high, guys. Please, will you send us more oil? That's been broken up. Countries are leaving OPEC. It's falling apart. That cabal is falling apart. And now, even if the strait opens back up again, you think these guys who've created new pipelines and stuff, you think they want to go back to using it exclusively? No way. Now they've taken control of their own oil. And that's not going to go back. So even if 90% right now is offset and the strait fully opens up, well, I would say the strait is now going to be 60 to 75% still offset with these new ways of doing things. And that, my friends, is massive. That changes the game. Now the Strait of Hormuz will never be able to be used as leverage again against us. This is absolutely genius. Now, he says we survived cutting out the Russians during the early days of the Ukraine war. That rewired things towards Hormuz and other offshore British ports like Bahamas and India. Now the trend is reversing away from those areas. That's why the histrionics over Trump are so loud and obnoxious. Note whose ox is being gored and you'll find out who's hurting. Simply trace who's reinforcing their narratives. You'll realize who's getting paid. City of London. It ain't tough, folks. Follow the money. Find the a-hole. Who's escalating against Russian exporting and refining assets? Ukraine? No. NATO help. France, UK, Poland, Baltics. To stop Russian exports from helping alleviate the Hormuz deficit. Say it with me again. All roads lead to City of London. It's just a fact. And Trump is crushing it. And this is why oil prices are going down instead of blowing up. You think Trump, this is the one leverage they had, the deep state, City of London had over Trump politically. Now, if oil keeps going down, they can't force him to end Iran quickly. They can't force him out to take a bad deal, because with this going down, this was the last leverage they had to make the midterms go bad for him. Everything else is trending right. Economy is heading in the right direction. The redistricting was huge. People are waking up to the election fraud. The primaries, we took out a bunch of rhinos. Our turnout, MAGA's turnout, is way up. And now oil prices are going down. You better believe they are crapping their pants right now because they want the oil prices to be at 150. They want them to touch 200. Why? Because it would be devastating for Trump in the polling. It'd be devastating for him. But meanwhile, now we all got used to 4 or 5 a gallon, and now it's going down. Recently, where I'm at, I think it peaked at 4.25 a gallon. Now it's at 3.75. You know what it looks like when you go from 4.25 to 3.75? You say, whoo, not cheap yet, but this is good. And you just start feeling better in general. And we've been watching that now for over a month, slowly ticking down. Guys, this is just massive against them. They're freaking out. Now, Trump and Iran, speaking to my point, this is not a man in a hurry. Listen to what he just had to say about Iran from last night.
If we go and bomb, which we can do very easily if we want, and we spend another 2 or 3 weeks bombing, they'll have nothing left whatsoever, but you won't have the strait open for months. If we do the bombing, a lot of people are going to be killed. Who wants to do that? I don't. And we'll have a signed document that's actually stronger than doing the bombing.
So what Trump just said to everybody paying attention is the big gripe is that the Strait of Hormuz needs to be open. And so we need to push for that. Well, Trump just told them all that if we start bombing again, the Strait, which is basically mostly open now, it's slower than it was before. There's still some issues to work out. The tolls, we're blockading Iran. But there's ships passing through Strait of Hormuz now. Nobody can deny it. And so he's telling them, what you guys are saying, the narrative out there that's such a big deal, if I bomb, it'll make it worse. And then he let all of us, MAGA, the libertarians, all the people who have been very wary about this war, about going back to war, he just told us, I don't want to fight. I don't want to kill people. That's not who I am. It's not what I want to do. So we can pretty much guarantee that unless something significant happens to Americans, whether they actually finally strike one of our aircraft carriers, if they could with their Timu missiles, haven't happened yet. But if they could get through, strike one of our aircraft carriers, kill Americans somewhere, attack one of our bases, if any of that got through, Trump's proven he'll take them out. But at this point, I don't think there's any way we start the bombing again. I think Trump just laid it down. And we can wait. We can wait because of the oil prices going down. And so Trump has all the leverage. So with all this going on, we're starting to get unnamed sources. Okay, I'm not saying this is legitimate, but the whispers are starting to come out because they can see Trump's digging in his heels. He's not, the economy is just going to keep crashing. We're choking them out at siege mentality. And now that they have no pressure on them because of the oil, I think they might be getting a little more desperate. And so from Sky News Arabia, again, I'm not saying it's a trusted source, but these are interesting reports starting to come out. Iran sent a draft ceasefire proposal to the U.S., reportedly now under review by Trump administration. Per this report, the initial press cease of the proposal is supposedly acceptable to the administration. This comes following Trump's comments earlier, talks are in their late stages. So we'll see. We'll see. But I got to say, this is one of the first times I've heard this report coming from the other side or somebody over there. Who knows? Maybe it's something. So with all this going on, regardless, oil prices going down, the economy is starting to tick back up, which the oil prices going down is only going to accelerate. Iran, one way or the other, if we're still in Iran or over by Iran, but nobody's dying, nobody's fighting, the American people are just going to brush it off. It doesn't feel real anymore, right? It doesn't feel like a war. Trump will start changing that messaging if we're still stuck there, and it'll work as long as there's no bombs going off. Or peace could come. Who knows? We might get an agreement. But regardless, all this is trending very well for Trump, MAGA, the Republicans in the midterms. And meanwhile, the Democrats are just getting worse and worse. Listen, here's James Carville, Mr. It's the economy, stupid. Helped Bill Clinton become president, consultant, who's getting crazier and crazier as he gets older. He hates Trump so much. Well, with this whole Graham Plattner thing going on, all their candidates looking horrific, what are they doing? They're not trying to figure it out. They're not trying to come to the middle. This is how James Carville is reacting and giving us insight into the Democrat state of mind. And you guys tell me if this is going to help get more voters or not.
If you went and you had 4 deployments and have some kind of effect on your mentality,
well,
it would be.
He had PTS and he struggled, and that explains a lot of his earlier stuff.
I understand that. And that's the larger issues. He's dealing with this from Susan Collins's wars. And I think people see that and they say, I would be radicalized myself if something like that happened. And maybe it would be a good idea in the United States Senate to have a veteran who has struggled with mental issues and put him on the Veterans Affairs Committee, because he's not the only veteran. He's not the only combat veteran that's not profoundly affected by what happened to them during these wars.
Agreed.
Okay?
Agreed.
Okay,
but isn't he more instructive of the point that it doesn't matter because he's right about what's wrong, so people aren't going to analyze him the way they analyze somebody else?
And you make alliances. So let's go back.
This is gross.
Franklin Roosevelt, Winston Churchill. Who did they work with? Well, Joseph Stalin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Sicilian mob, because there was a larger good here. There was something else. We couldn't, today's progressives, oh my God, Stalin killed, he was even worse than Hitler. He may have been, but they perceived that the threat, and I think correctly, and we never go in history and say, well, I just can't like Franklin Roosevelt because he sent Stalin billions of tons of equipment. Or Churchill snuck off during the war to meet with him in Moscow. Or he was at Yalta. He was at Tehran. He was at, you name it, Tehran.
So he's equating Trump and the Republicans to the Nazis, saying that we have to pair up with whoever we can to, no matter how despicable, even though in this point, the guy is a Nazi. He's got a Nazi tattoo. Not only a Nazi tattoo, an SS tattoo used by the people who were the worst in the concentration camps, did the worst torture to the Jews, to the whoever. I mean, it wasn't only Jews in internment camps, but even though it was mostly Jews. Terrible stuff. And they're saying, we're so bad, let's hook up with the actual Nazis.
When you saw something like this, sometimes you make alliances that you would not have made under a different set of circumstances.
Right.
But I think what's wrong with Plattner, and by the way, I was for Janet Gill, so that people in Maine didn't listen.
Here it comes.
I did a video for her. But I think Plattner might be just his ideas and the things that his courage and also his imperfections are imperfections that we can all identify with.
That's the line right there. His imperfections are imperfections we can all identify with. I don't know, guys. What do you think? To me, this is James Carville speaking as a Democrat, as a liberal, hardcore liberal Democrat. I got to say that to me, you know what that says? Hey, we Democrats can identify with being Nazis. We can identify with being wife and abusers of women and sexual deviants. We can identify with that because, this guy is disgusting, and it's more and more every day. He said he wanted to rape people who, if they ever came into his house, just to show he was dominant. That's who, Carville's like, who of us hasn't had that thought on a regular day? This is the Democratic mindset. This is the guy behind all these people. He started with Clinton. He's been there for a long time. That, my friends, I don't know about you, but is that inspiring? I don't think that's going to win any votes. Carville lost his mind. These people have lost their minds. And thankfully, remember, we're coming out of a period the last couple months, which was the hardest period of Trump's second term, as far as his approval, as far as the optics, because of gas prices soaring, because of Iran, because of the MAGA influencers all turning against Trump, like all of this stuff. It's the worst period. The last 2.5, 3 months have been for the Trump administration, where Democrats are like, we're going to do it. We're going to take over. And this is where we're at. Oh, a 57% chance Republicans win the Senate. That's not good. They really didn't make a break there. But the Senate was always going to be the harder one. So maybe that's not telling us that much. All right. So Republicans, and I'll tell you right now, guys, it's not 57% chance that Republicans hold the Senate. As of right now, it's 95%. You guys can mark it. You can clip me saying that. It is 95% the Republicans will hold the Senate. And watch this midterms. You'll find out. I might even get to 100% before the midterms. That's how bad it is for the Democrats. Okay, I knew this in 2024. I told everybody when they were dooming, looking at the polls, saying it's going to be too close. And I said, nope, we're getting it all. And I'm telling you, 95% chance we hold the Senate. But look at the House now. Look at the House. This is from Full Insight Elections. They have the House now at 217 safe Republican seats. That means we only need to win 1 of 14 toss-ups. 1. That means the House went from about 60% Democrat in about March, and then the Voting Rights Act was struck down, and then the redistricting happened, and then the primaries happened. We saw this turnout. It just kept getting worse, and then Republicans blocked out the Democrats in a California seat, and now we went from 60% Democrat to now this is about an 75 to 80% chance of Republicans holding. If you guys vote, if I vote, if we all go vote, we're winning the midterms. And I literally don't have doubts about that anymore. See, one of the biggest, worst decisions they made was they made the midterms a national election. In the past, midterms are local. People don't show out for the midterms the way they do for a presidential election because we're not voting for a national candidate. We're voting for state candidates. People don't turn out the same way. This year, they made it national. And guess what? Trump was very happy to keep doing that. Said, okay, let's do it. And I'm going to make it more and more national because of redistricting, the Supreme Court now making decisions, everybody focused on California. As the more attention that's paid on this race, the more people treat it as if it's another presidential election with that same kind of importance, the better it is for us. And as of right now, guys, look, 52 seats Republican in the Senate considered safe. We could gain in the Senate. We could gain in the House. We had 220 after 2024. If we win 4 of 10 toss-ups, it could be 221. So stop dooming. The midterms are looking very nice for Republicans right now. Very nice. And with the economy trending up, gas prices trending lower, Iran at a standstill, but no fighting, no Americans dying. It's looking better every day. And so I'm telling you, I think Trump's about to pull off the impossible. And that is City of London's worst nightmare.